There's so many different ways to induce hypertrophy. That's what makes building muscle so fun and so challenging. That said, there are 3 variables you want to keep consistent. First, frequency. Get in there often. Don't take long hiatuses. 2, intensity. Make sure you're putting in the effort when you're getting in there, not just going through the motions. And volume. Let's talk about volume. Volume are the sets times reps. As a general rule, nothing's set in stone, but as a general rule, get at least 10 working sets per muscle group each week. The rep range varies. I'll get into that in a moment. Take biceps, for instance. Say I work biceps twice per week. On the first day, I do 3 different exercises in 3 sets per exercise. Say I do dumbbell curls, reverse barbell curls, and then I do cable curls. There you go. That's 9 sets already. And on the second day, say I do another 3 exercises in 3 sets. That's 18 sets. I've eclipsed that 10 working sets per week for the biceps. Now, as you become an intermediate and get used to working out, the target should be about 15 working sets per week. And if you're an athlete at the professional level, you're talking 25 sets per week. Now, what about reps? How many reps should I be doing? How many reps should I do each set to induce hypertrophy? That varies. You can induce hypertrophy with as little as 4 reps per set, or as high as 30, believe it or not. They say the ideal rep range is about 8 to 15, according to scientific studies over the years. But everybody's body's different, so see what you react to the most. And whenever you switch up workout routines or methods, give it time. See how it works for you. For instance, say for a while, you're just not experiencing growth. Maybe you increase the weight and decrease the rep range. Or vice versa. Maybe you decrease the weight, and increase the amount of reps you do. All these different factors. Remember the tempo? You're doing concentric contractions versus eccentric contractions. Maybe you're slowing the tempo on those. Maybe in your workouts, each working set, you're going to 60 to 70% of your rep range, meaning you go until you have about 2 more reps left into you to hit failure. Now that's okay. That is still going to induce hypertrophy. You don't have to go to failure every time, but if you're always stopping a couple sets shy of it, maybe you're going to go to failure a couple times. Maybe pick 1 exercise per workout and say, I'm going to failure on this exercise. Maybe it's the last exercise of the workout and you just crush it. A lot of people hit a plateau and they say, I'm just a non-responder, a hard gainer, so to speak. Do not have that mindset. We're all capable of inducing hypertrophy. It's about changing the variables. Maybe it's more volume. Maybe it's different exercises. Change the equipment around. Mindset is a huge part of working out and gaining muscle mass. And remember, you have no right to get frustrated if you're not seeing results in the gym when outside of the gym you're not taking care of yourself. That means manage your stress, get your sleep, eat real food, and get the calories and the amino acids and the carbohydrates you need to fuel your workouts. Remember, for protein synthesis to occur, you're sending a signal to your muscle cells and they're creating amino acids. If you don't have enough to supply it, it's not going to induce the hypertrophy. So treat your body as it deserves to be treated. And how much rest do I need in between sets to induce hypertrophy? Shoot for about 30 to 90 seconds. The reason being, you want to keep that metabolic stress on your muscle cells. Remember, you're sending signals to your muscle cells to produce those amino acids, which causes protein synthesis. The result? muscle growth. So you want to keep the blood flowing to those muscles. Keep the volume up. The more contractions you have, the more blood is flowing to the muscles. 30 to 90 seconds is not, as I said, the end all and be all. You can rest up to 5 minutes. If you do so, you got to make sure your mindset is still on the task at hand. Stay focused, and when you do that set after a long rest, you got to really hit that set. So add those pounds on the weights and go till failure. That way you're keeping that metabolic stress on the muscles, even though you've been resting for a longer period. Stay hydrated. We want liquid in our body that flows the nutrients into the muscles. Carbohydrates hold on to water, so that's going to help. There's a big trend to lay off of carbohydrates, but if you're an athlete, you want to induce hypertrophy, you want to have glycogen stores in your muscles. That comes from supplying your body with the right amount of carbs and the right kind of carbs. Also, trisets and supersets. That's a great way to place metabolic stress on your muscles. We'll get into exactly what those are in later episodes. But all these things, remember, volume, intensity, frequency, induce that hypertrophy. All the while, have fun pushing your body and watching it grow. The beautiful thing about hypertrophy is there's actual results you can see taking place from all your hard work. And by all means, keep stimulating your nervous system from workout to workout. Keep it guessing. You don't want to overdo it with variation. At the same time, you don't want to overdo it with repetition. You want a mix of both. Keep some things constant, but mix other things up. For instance, maybe you're spending some time in just the high rep range in the lower weight, or vice versa. Or maybe you really get creative with your workouts. You go in there and maybe your first set is higher reps, lower weight, and they're isolating exercises with machines perhaps. Then you go to the 8 to 15 range, the sweet spot, and you're working on compound movements or free weights. And maybe your last set, you're focusing on really heavy weight and low reps. Now keep in mind, when you go below the 4 rep range, like 1 to 3, you still might get some hypertrophy from that, but primarily at this point, you're building your strength. The lower rep range and higher weights is mainly for strength. And that's okay, because we need strength for getting in there and building the best version of ourselves. Thanks for joining me. We got a lot more to cover. Stay tuned next episode. We'll talk about recovering from workouts and also cardio. How can we use it to benefit our hypertrophy? See you next time. I love you.